Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this episode of Hit Talks Live. Yes, this episode of Hit Talks Live, we are on an energetic day, which is all about forgiveness. It's all about fresh start. It's actually all about ourselves, forgiving others. So as we go into this energy of this episode, just take in the words, the wisdom, and the stories of the hope, inspiration, and transformation from these amazing speakers. So again, welcome to this episode of Hit Talks Live. My name is Vicky Thomas, and I am your founder for this program, and it is just absolutely fantastic. I love it. This is the show that we bring to you 8 speakers from all over the world, speaking to you for 8 minutes each on 8 different perspectives of hope, inspiration, and transformation. There is no selling, there is no positioning, it is just pure stories from the heart. So I'd like you to sit back, I'd like you to enjoy, I'd like you to feel these messages of hope, feel these messages of inspiration, feel these messages of transformation. And I am going to give you the reins of this episode to my amazing partner, Mr. Philip Sykes, where he's going to be able to share with you the amazing 8 speakers that we have on this episode.
A huge warm welcome to wherever you are in the world. As always, a huge privilege and honor and a pleasure to firstly have 8 amazing speakers joining us here on the platform of Hit Talks. Vicky, thank you for a lovely introduction. Without further ado, I'd love to take the opportunity to introduce someone that I'm familiar with, someone I've had the privilege of sharing the stage with, the platform with, and this is a gentleman who comes all the way from the United States of America, and his name is Rick Najera. And Rick, when he opens his mouth, always has something incredible to share. So I hope and I pray that you've all got a pen poised, you've all got a proper notebook, and you put down some amazing pieces of information, tools, golden nuggets that Rick will impart. So Rick, I'm going to hand over to you right now. I don't think you need much of an introduction. I know the intro will come up on the platform, but I'm so looking forward to what you've got to share with us. I'm not sure what it's going to be. It's always, I wait with anticipation with my pen poised, and I'm heading and handing straight over to you right now for your 8 minutes, please.
Well, first of all, I have to say, I'm not sure what I'm going to say because that's the way Hit Talks works. Vicky this morning said we're going to talk about forgiveness today, which I thought was an amazing topic because I think forgiveness is everyday part of our life. It's actually the reason we're born is to restore our relationship to a higher being. And for restoration, I believe, is forgiveness. The act of forgiveness is the act of being humble enough to say, forgive me, I'm sorry. We constantly do it. I could say right now, Philip, you're a wonderful man with British School of Etiquette, and look how well you're dressed, and me, Californian, dressed very casually. So please forgive me to be dressed so casually for such an amazing talk today. I think when I look at forgiveness, I think I practice it daily. Forgiveness is a part of something akin to gratitude. In other words, gratitude, which we practice every day, and we thank the world, and we thank God, we thank our fellow human beings for the privilege to share life with them. Gratitude. Also, what comes with gratitude and life comes mistakes. Comes times where you will make a mistake, and for that becomes the act of forgiveness. To ask another human being, please forgive me. Forgive me for offending you. Sometimes forgive me for not realizing I offended you, or forgive me for simply my existence that may be horrible to you and not enjoyable to you, and may cause in your own body and soul a feeling that I install in you jealousy. In my business, which tends to work in Hollywood, we have great amounts of people that look at us and either dislike what we say, dislike what we our whole being. In fact, if you're an actor, they're turning you down. They're saying you're not right for the role. We don't want you. So you learn to develop a hard shell. but forgiveness is everything. And I thought about that today because we're supposed to just not really write anything down. Don't imagine a word we're about to say. Just speak it. As Vicky calls them, divine downloads. So I'll look for a divine download now. And one of the things that came to my mind was a story I remembered as a child. As I've searched for the meaning of life, Plato says the unexamined life isn't worth living. I sometimes say the over-examined life isn't worth living either. So I go from one extreme to the other, thinking about why am I here? What's the point of my life? Everything. Our last hit talk, we talked about a health issue or a health opportunity I have because I've had 2 brain surgeries. I may have to have a 3rd brain surgery as well. It's strange. I make a living off my mind, but here my mind might be killing me. So I look at that and I have to forgive myself. Forgive myself of what I expect I should be, whether health or any of that, or what I'm supposed to get in the life, and understand this is what I've been given. It's an opportunity. And here's an opportunity to talk about forgiveness. I, at one point in my life, went to seminary, a Christian seminary, and I look at life, and I'm not here preaching at all. There's many ways to find God in your own life and many religions for that and many philosophies. I just particularly look at the Christian one right now. And the whole content of the Christian religion is a relationship with God that was broken and what has to happen to get that relationship back. So that's called a sacrifice. They recognize in our world in the Old Testament, things like that, what sacrifice meant. Somehow we sacrifice something special and sacred to us, and that blood covenant, that made a forgiveness. It made a way of and as the 12-step program would say, atonement, really looking at someone and saying, forgive me, but now let me make up to show you actual actions to help you forgive me. So I remember a story, and this was about people who went to the native tribes in New Zealand, and they were actual headhunters in these tribes. And the first missionaries who went there couldn't explain the idea of Christ coming down, taking a human form, and to be actually with a human form to become the actual sacrifice for man's sin, for man moving away from God. It's hard to see that. In fact, they saw the person that betrayed Christ, Judas, as a man they respected. Because in their culture, they believed that sometimes if you wanted to take an enemy on, you would actually get their trust, have them come to your village, and you would murder them, kill them. So Judas was actually the hero. Christ, the victim, was looked down upon. So the missionaries didn't know what to do. They were like, how do we speak to these people about the idea of forgiveness, the idea of atonement, the idea of getting a relationship back with God? What would it mean? And in a lot of ways, I looked at that and they started to study their culture to understand how to communicate with them. And there was a story within their culture that it was called the peace child. In other words, if a tribe was fighting another tribe and the tribe had a simple problem, that they caused people to actually go against the other tribe and kill them, they would only do one thing. They would give the other tribe one of their most precious children, and that would be the peace child. And that would make a peace between these two tribes. And the worst thing in the world you could do, the most sinful act that they could imagine, was killing the peace child. There was no forgiveness for that. That was the greatest sin they could imagine, killing the peace child. So what these missionaries did is they actually said Jesus was the peace child. Jesus, the act of Jesus, God, coming in a human form to be sacrificed for the sins of all man, was the peace child. Now, I'm really telling this for one reason, not to convert anyone. That's not my job at all, but to look in my own life and say, where have I hurt the peace child? Where have I caused stress in the world? In fact, when I went through my first brain surgeries, it was caused by a coma I was in, and I was a number 3 in the Glasgow coma scale, which I've never figured out why Glasgow was so inspired to create a coma scale, but they did, and I was number 3 in it, which is about as bad as anything could happen, and I survived. And in surviving, I came back. And I said I wanted to reconcile my life. I wrote a book called Almost White, Forced Confessions of a Latino in Hollywood, published it so my children could read about me when I was gone and to understand me a little bit more. And that's why I did that. I actually got life insurance. I'd never done that before and saw how important it was and got life insurance because in the coma, in that warm cocoon of feeling, I heard a voice. And the voice said, "Do you want to come back? Do you want to come back?" And I thought about it and I said, yes, I have things to do. I have to make certain things right with the people. In fact, one of the biggest regrets people go through and people that work with people in their lives is not saying I'm sorry to people they love, not having the opportunity. So immediately I came back into my body. I felt a great deal of pain, excruciating pain. I almost thought maybe I made a mistake by coming back. But I came back, was nursed back to health, and now may have a third surgery, but I'm so grateful to life. And part of that grateful is going to people and saying, I'm sorry. Have I offended you? In what way can I make it better? In what way can I make you well? In what way can I put you a little bit ahead of me? And instead of the me society that we normally live in, what about the we society? Can I help you with your issues that I may cause and I may create in your own life that may have nothing to do with me at all, but maybe something in your past or your experience? How can I ask for forgiveness and how can I act upon it and make your life better? If you look at gospel, the greatest gospel is love your neighbor as yourself. So love yourself, love your neighbor, reconcile the world and everything action you do. I swore that when I came back, that would cause no harm. I bought a Tesla, an electric car. I became plant-based. I did a lot of things that I think are better for the world. And I helped my children much more. I took the opportunity that I was given for a second chance in life and brought it back. But one of the greatest things I learned, one of the greatest things I realized was act of forgiveness. It's a daily ritual you'll have to do. Forgive me for being so casually dressed, but I am. Forgive me for who I am at times. Forgive me all my transgressions, and as I will forgive you. And in that, we develop relationship, we develop love, and we develop a better world around us. That's my core in life. I want to make the world better. That's it. I want to make my fellow man and woman's life better. I want to accept other cultures and other people. I want it to be love and better, with no judgment, no anger, simply spread the love. And for me, that is the tantamount part of forgiveness. Forgiveness with action. And that's what I want to do for the rest of my life, to forgive and do it through action. Thank you so much.
Rick, as always, profound, fascinating, interesting, hearing your journey, hearing your story, and I love the casual approach. I really do. I think there's no need to ask for forgiveness on any level. You know, some of the takeaways there for me, it is about gratitude and tying that into your forgiveness and understanding what we have rather than what we don't have in this world. And this came through in a huge way, you know, lying there in your cocoon, lying there potentially on your deathbed, and having a conversation with yourself and coming back into this world. Not many people get a second chance. So I think a summary for me out of that whole sort of conversation that you shared with us is that we need to be better than yesterday, and we do need to forgive, and we need to forgive ourselves. Learn to be gentle with ourselves. We're human beings. We make mistakes. Let's look for feedback so we can feed forward. Let's go out there and do as much as we can for other people. And I truly believe that when you do that, doors start to open. We all have this at our fingertips. We all have the opportunity to make change. We all have the opportunity to forgive. And life is too short. Life is very, very short. So take every moment you have and make the most of it. I really urge all of you listening to this to take and heed what has just been shared with you in my little summary of all of that. So thank you very, very much, Rick. I'm moving over to someone who really has an incredible mind, incredible brain, someone who's in the medical field, a a psychiatrist by profession, has had the privilege and opportunity to engage with people on radio stations and television, helping people. She's been very prevalent in this wretched scenario we've been experiencing for the last 22 months. And her name is Seshni Moodliar. Seshni, I'm going to give you your 8 minutes. And one other thing that I love sharing about you is your transformational healing and your happiness and well-being approach to life. So over to you, and you have your 8 minutes.
Thank you so much, Philip, for such a lovely introduction. And I am so excited to be on this episode of Hit Talks. I'm definitely missing Vicky because she's a pivotal, important person, part of the Hit Talks. And I'm so grateful to her and Jane and everyone else that's been involved in preparing this episode. And it's such a huge task to follow Rick. As you've all heard Rick, you know, he's probably, you know, you've heard what he's just said, and it's really a tough act to follow. Rick, you've done brilliantly. So it's my third time to present on Hit Talks, and it's always been a pleasure. And I'm definitely, before I start on with forgiveness, I just want to say that I'm an ambassador of Hit Talks, because Hit Talks does what it says. And I myself was invited by Dr. Sanjeev Chopra as a guest. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world listening live on the replay. I was on where you are, where I was listening as a guest, and Hit Talks helped me transform, because Hit Talks is all about hope. It's about inspiration, and it's about transformation. And during the time that I was attending and watching Hit Talks, I was going through a very, very difficult period of grief. I lost my mum in South Africa last year, and I was going through that. But through Hit Talks, through all the inspirational people like Vicky, Sanjeev Chopra, Amita, Philip, through Nick Najera, I was able to transform my life and heal myself. And so I usually talk about RICH, which is an acronym for Realizing I Create Happiness. So I think forgiveness is really a good way to move away from that. But I think it's still, forgiveness is related to happiness. And something I actually wanted to talk about and try and marry the two, forgiveness with, is riding the storm. So if there's anything that you're going to remember today from the 8 minutes that I'm going to talk today, is riding the storm. And I'm going to tell you how that came about. But before that, what comes to mind with me with forgiveness is that I learned very early on about forgiveness and about a Hawaiian tradition, and it's called Hopono. I don't know if people know about it, but it's exactly what Rick said, where you would recite these words: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. So Hopono is a traditional Hawaiian saying, and I've been listening to that for years, and I just stumbled upon that through Doreen Virtue. For those that know Doreen Virtue, dealing with angels, now obviously she's transformed, but Hopono, that's how I came about it. And it's definitely something which has helped me in forgiving myself and forgiving others. And that's where riding the storm comes in, and also grief. So I want to talk a bit about grief, because I think with saying those words, you know, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, I realized that when I went through a grief process, you know, if anyone's gone through grief, especially now with the pandemic, we know that over 4 million people have lost lives through the pandemic. And that's only through COVID, but not through anything else related. But when you go through something like grief, you have to go through the Kubler-Ross stages. And for those that know about it, you go through those stages of denial, of anger, of bargaining, of depression, and then the acceptance and the peace that Rick was talking about. So, you know, I think forgiveness is a lot like that. You know, when we are going through difficult, challenging situations, we're obviously going to deny the situation. You know, as a psychiatrist, as a happiness psychiatrist, as I love to call myself, I was thinking about always just about happiness and about creating happiness. But then I realized going through grief and going through these stages, I was actually riding through the storm. I was riding the storm. And I think that's what forgiveness to me actually means now, is that we have to ride through the storm, no matter what we're faced with. And I want to share with you over the last few weeks, over 3 or 4 weeks now. So Rick has been very influential in my transformation, I would like to say, and not just because he's here. Even if he wasn't here, I was going to talk about this, but because he, in his one talk, he spoke about listening to your inner child, listening to the inner voice, actually. Sorry, that's what he said. And over the last 3 or 4 weeks, that's what I'd been listening to. And what kept on coming was riding the storm. And the focus was away from happiness, but about riding the storm. And it's a lot like forgiveness. And I was presenting a case of a patient at work, and the team was faced with very difficult, challenging situation. And at the end of it, I said, we as a team have decided we are going to ride the storm with this person, you know. So it's about forgiveness. It's about, you know, being able to acknowledge that people will make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We are not perfect, but it's being willing to ride with that person through the storm. And my inner voice kept on saying this to me. It was kept on saying, you know, riding the storm, riding the storm. And I realized in day-to-day life, whether it was in my work situation, being like a firefighter, saving lives in the hospital, working with the team, or whether it was at home or with friends and family in South Africa, you know, when going through the riots recently in South Africa, some of you may be aware of. So when the riots happened in South Africa, strangely and coincidentally enough, the messages that were going across, I actually wrote a letter to Cyril Ramaphosa pleading that, you know, please help, because there was riots going on in South Africa. And people were sending WhatsApp messages. And do you know what was being sent? There were religious organizations like the Sai Group, and they were sending messages of the Ho'oponopono, saying that people need to recite, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And that was so strange. And it kept on coming to me, riding the storm, and today now the forgiveness. And I think these two are related. And what I feel is that if we are willing to ride the storm and to forgive ourselves and others, and we are willing to inspire other people, provide that hope that things are going to get better, that we will be able to transform, because that's what it's about. It's about the hope. It's about the inspiration. It's about the hope that things are going to get better and we can ride the storm. And as Sir Thomas More said, I don't know if people know Sir Thomas More, but we were fortunate to know him because my daughter is friends with his granddaughter. They were in the same class and were best friends. But Sir Thomas More spoke about, he was the 100-year veteran that died in March this year. And he raised over 33 million during the COVID pandemic. But he said that, you know, unfortunately he died. But I think what he has done is someone who has inspired me and inspired a lot of people and given a lot of people hope and inspiration. And he said, for all those people finding it difficult in the moment, the sun will shine on you again. The clouds will go away. And tomorrow, and the message he said to the nation is, tomorrow will be a good day. And I think that's what it's about. It's about riding the storm, you know, drawing on that help and support, whether you're working alone or with a team. It's about having that hope and inspiration. And it's about transforming our lives. And whether we do it just for ourselves or whether we do it, we help other people. So whether we do it ourselves, like what Rick was talking about, you know, forgiveness all the time, you know, forgiving yourself and others. I think that's important. And going back to grief, I think grief is really, when my mom passed away, she was taken through tragic circumstances. And I think a lot like COVID, or when people lose loved ones, you want to blame someone, and it feels like your heart is ripped, and you find it really difficult to get through. And it was definitely a storm that I went through, I would say. And but I managed. I'm here. I'm able to talk about it. But it's a lot about forgiveness as well. And I had to show I had to show forgiveness as well for what happened to my mom, because I had to forgive myself for things that I felt that I may have contributed, or I may have not done to have helped the situation, or and I think a lot of us would feel like that when we're in situations, when we face with challenges. So whether you're going through a physical illness, whether you're going through a breakup, a crisis, whether you're going through a loss of a loved one, we're all going to be riding the storm. We're all going to have to show forgiveness. We're going to have to go through those stages. And I think forgiveness is key as a doctor, as a psychiatrist, and, believing that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. I practice one of the light traditions, so I'll end off with that, which is the Secure Mahi Curry. And in that practice, it's a lot of prayer. It's about gratitude that Rick spoke about. It's about forgiveness and apology. So apologizing for everything. And I think the last thing that I want to say with forgiveness is it's about, we have to forgive ourselves, because we're all on this earth for limited time. And whatever we're going through is because of our karmic debt or karma that we have created in previous lifetimes. So we are all here to actually relearn, re-experience, and not to repeat the same mistakes. So forgiveness is really key. So if we're going through any difficult times, I think saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, I think those are key. So I think I've touched on a lot of different topics, but I do want you to remember, listen to that inner voice that Rick says. And yes, I'm riding the storm, not just for myself, but for others. And I think having that awareness and having the tools to be able to ride the storm. So in closing, as a happiness psychiatrist and happy doctor, the tools that I have in my toolkit to help you to ride the storm and see the rainbows and the sun shining again is mindset. Your mindset is key. So forgiveness, having a positive mindset, meditation and mindfulness, definitely key. Meditating at least twice a day, as Sanjeev says. Eating happy and healthy foods. Laughter is the best medicine. We had Rick on just now, and if all else fails, I just absolutely love Rick and what he stands for in his comedy. Please do listen to him and follow him in his podcast. He's absolutely brilliant. And he made me laugh on my journey back with the text he sent to me, and that just got me through a very, very difficult and challenging firefighting day at work in the hospital. And yeah, it's about forgiveness, it's about gratitude and positive thinking. So those are my top tips as a happiness psychiatrist. So I hope that you have been inspired, and I hope you will gain the hope and inspiration and transformation that you will be able to forgive yourself and others and continue on this journey of self-discovery. And whatever challenges you face with, I guess if you have that hope, inspiration, and transformation, I do believe that you will be able to overcome everything. But forgiveness, saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Please have a listen to the Ho'oponopono on YouTube. There's lots of videos, and it will definitely help you. So thank you and namaste. So the honor in me, the divine in me honors the divine in you. And thank you so much to Vicky, Hit Talks, Philip, and everyone else that's on the show, and Rick.
Namaste. Namaste. Again, Seshni, wonderful words coming out from within. That word forgiveness is obviously, I think, struck a chord with all of us. And hanging on to baggage doesn't do anyone any favors. It holds you back. We in this world need to get rid of the baggage because it weighs you down. And when you weigh yourself down, you cannot see clearly. You know, it's something that inner voice can really support you with and help you on every level. It's something, whenever I'm faced with a challenge or a situation, it's a journey. It's no abracadabra and a quick fix sometimes. And it's about breaking things down, asking yourself, what's the worst case scenario here? What's the worst that's happening right now? And sort of understanding that and almost preparing yourself to handle the worst outcome so that you're almost mentally and emotionally prepared. And then go down the next question, ask yourself, what's the best case here? Or what's the most likely? What's the most likely case? What could this land up being? Or where could this take me? Or what can I learn from this? And then what is the best case scenario? So, I am sorry, please forgive me. I am sorry, I love you. I hope all of us really take that wonderful phrase and incorporate it into our lives and really make an effort to understand the power of forgiveness. It really is an incredible tool that we all have the ability to do. We've got to dig deep. We've got to dig very, very deep. And I know many, many people out there, we struggle with forgiving people, especially when they've hurt us, or especially when we feel someone else has been hurt or scorned. On that note, I would like to turn to an incredible woman, Joanne Flinn. Joanne has had an incredible journey in business, an incredibly successful woman in business. She's worked with some of the most top blue chip organizations in the world and comes with a huge amount of experience. And with that experience, she's, I'm sure, had to forgive many scenarios and situations. And she's a huge inspiration across the world, across the board, and gets to engage with, organizations and people to guide them with their leadership and to really sort of move past hurdles and things that are tripping them up to venture forth and to be able to spread their wings. So I'm going to hand over to you, Joanne. Set your timer. You're ready to rock and roll, and you have your 8 minutes. Thank you for joining us. Joanne, you're on mute. You're on mute still.
Oops. Thank you very much for having me here. And someone is going to do that particular thing of going, oh dear, I've pressed the button and the button hasn't done what I expected it to do. So today it's me. Vicky, to be able to be here on Hit Talks with this community is an absolute honor. To have followed the two speakers we've had and just listened and reflected on, as I've listened, what does forgiveness mean to me? And how has this shown up in my life? And how have I seen it around me? And as I was reflecting, listening to the first two speakers, the phrase that kept coming into my mind was this one, was burnout. I have to admit, it was not the phrase that would have been the one that I think at another stage of my life I would have come up as something that is meaningful when we talk about forgiveness. But burnout's the phrase that keeps sitting with me. And as I'm here with you right now and feeling burnout and reflecting on just the last 18 months of our lives and the shifts and the changes and the sense of there being so much that is outside of my control and so much that doesn't feel like it's working in the way that we actually might want. You know, and I personally am living in Singapore, which is, comparatively speaking, ridden the last 18 months quite well. Is this sense of burnout, the sense of exhaustion, the sense of reserves and things just fading away, and then having to find that moment and that space of how do I get through even when all this is going on. And the word burnout in my bio was the one that caught my eye during the introduction. So I'm going to take us back, in this case, quite some years, when I was at one stage of, I don't know, you may have had this happen, you know, you talk about the peak of your career and, you know, it goes up and there's this wonderful, wonderful, amazing time, and then things can come crashing down. And then you decide, am I going to go back and climb up this mountain again? It might not be that mountain, and maybe another mountain. And for me, what happened was I was, for what many people would have said, at the peak of a career. I had ended up at a very, very young age running a major business for a blue chip company that had gone on to becoming a senior executive in a bank, and having a very, very responsible position. But in all that energy and focus, what I'd done was I'd succeeded, but I'd succeeded shallowly. I'd succeeded by putting all myself into that one goal. You know, my scorecard was that particular mountain. That scorecard was, I've made it and I'm here and it's brilliant. But everything else in my life was empty. And I didn't hear the first knocks that said change was required. I didn't hear the second knocks that said, Joanne, please, you need to do something different. Eventually, I heard the knocks that basically had my body collapse. And I remember going into a doctor and it felt like I had a pickaxe being lacked into the side of my head. And he said, no, that's tension. And then when he did the body checks and came back and he said, you know, this system in your body is collapsing. This one's gone, and 5 of my major bodily systems were about to collapse. And that was burnout. And in those years since then, I've realized that what I had done was I'd learned to succeed in the busy and the doing and the struggle and the conquering, but I'd learned to succeed shallow. And in the last, well, actually now it's probably getting on to a bit over 15 years. Gosh, where does time go when you're having fun? I've had to learn how to succeed deep. And in that learning how to succeed deep, I've had to shift from this perspective of what I will call now, I would call it a shallow perspective, of struggle, of being the hero, of the conquering, and the success that comes through that world, into one that I would not have been able to thrive in the world that we have at the moment if I hadn't learned this art of forgiveness, if I hadn't learned this art of being able and willing to let go of the pieces of the past, to let go of the story and the success of the past, to honor and respect what had happened, but to be able to let go and then to come one with what is now. And at some stages, I will admit, and I'm sharing this with you because for some of you right now, maybe feeling that space of there is so little energy left. There is so much that's happening around that feels beyond my power to act. And oh man, oh woman, I've so lived that. And it was through the space of going, yes, there is so little, but what I do have right now is I have this breath. I have this moment here with you through this wonderful means of Hit Talks. I have this simplicity of a glass of water. I have a friend putting a hand out and the touch of another human being's hand. The simplicity of sometimes the most incredibly beautiful things of life. A glass of water, a friend's hand, and the sign of someone caring. And realizing that the next layer of forgiveness was actually this willingness to come back into being one with life. To come back, to be willing to actually forgive and become connected with life. And that started creating for me a deeper way of living, a deeper wealth, and a deeper success. So thank you very, very much for having me here today on HIT. And Philip, I'm delighted to return this to you. Thank you all.
Joanne, thank you. I know 8 minutes goes very quickly, but just you summed up some wonderful things there. Something that really resonates with me, and it's something we deliver through our organization. And I know Vicky is a huge advocate of this right across the board, and that is gratitude. You know, literally, I would love all of you out there, and I'm going to challenge all of you out there that are engaging here in HIT Talks and with this platform. And I pray that you spread the word globally, because this is something that is there for you. It's for you. It's not for us. It's to help as many people as we can in this world. And it's something, again, that Rick talked about. It's something that Seshni talked about. It's something that Joanne talked about. It's not about us at the end of the day. We need to absolutely 150%, you know, become connected, go for deeper living, and understand that we have to make a difference in this world. And something that I absolutely advocate is gratitude. And so each and every single one of you out there, if you don't practice gratitude, write down 3 things every day that you're grateful for. It's just as exactly as Joanne said, I'm grateful for this water. Someone said, what? You're grateful for a glass of water? 150%. Because let me tell you, all of us out there, a lot of us out here, or most of us, or I would say all of us, are in the top 3% of the most privileged people in this world. So for example, I'm grateful for the warm bed that I slept in. I'm grateful for my body that is working in perfect harmony. I'm grateful for the incredible friends in my life. Those are things that Joanne alluded to. And it really is such a powerful tool. Gratitude for me sets me on the right path every single day. And I go on a gratitude journey umpteen dozen times a day. And it helps me with forgiving. It helps me with moving forward onto the next chapter or the next challenge or whatever it might be that I'm faced with. But gratitude, taking time out to understand how grateful, how fortunate we actually are, is a massive, massive tool in my life. And it really does give me a huge amount of inspiration to really sort of get out there and do more and create more for other people and just make a difference. And this is what this is all about. I'm going to be moving over now to a gentleman who, again, I've had the privilege of connecting with, listening to, almost I would love to say working with. You know, Roger is a gentleman who comes from the north of England, lives up in the north of England where it's always sunny. No, I'm pulling your leg, obviously. I think England has experienced quite a sort of ridiculous so-called what we call summer, 4 seasons in one day. But Roger is a gentleman who really has faced adversity. He has been literally put onto death's door, but he refused to go because he knew he had so much to do and deliver. And one thing I share with anyone and everyone that I come into, I truly believe whoever created us, God, has a plan for all of us. He builds us, he guides us, just as Joanne alluded to. She went on a journey to get to where she is right now. No one has a plain, straight road in this world. No one. So for any of you out there that are really finding life challenging or struggling, we all go through it. We will all go through it. But the most important thing is to learn to pick yourself up, surround yourself with amazing people, and go out there and make a difference. So Roger, I'd love to give you your 8 minutes, and it's a privilege and a pleasure to have you on HIT Talks. Over to you.
I'm aware that some of you will have heard this talk before. However, it has so much to do with forgiveness. That is the reason that I chose to share it once again today. So please forgive me for doing so. I'd like to take you back to the early hours of Monday, the 10th of June, 2013, where you will find me laying on a bed in the emergency department. And you will also hear from beyond the cubicle curtain the trauma consultant addressing my wife, Claire, totally unaware that the effect of the ketamine has now worn off. and I can hear every single word, as he tells Claire that there's very little hope that I will make it through the night, and no hope that I will ever walk again, even aided. At that point, should I have allowed it to happen, I would be having hope taken from me. And when I've shared this story, one thing that many people say to me is the fact that you had to hear that news second hand is absolutely unforgivable. The interesting thing is, when you put things into perspective, it's not really that unforgivable at all in the grand scheme of things. Unfortunately, only a few minutes before, when I was laying in the road bleeding out, having been attacked by 3 unknown persons with baseball bats, 2 questions came into my head that gave me hope. Have you achieved everything you want to in this life? And have you made the difference you want in this world? When the answer to both of those questions was a resounding no, that gave me hope to continue and move forward. From there, for over 3 months, you would have found me in a hospital bed in an isolated room, as in addition to all the physical pain and suffering I was going through, I contracted myself MRSA, and therefore every day I hoped that would be the day that I would be discharged, until on Wednesday, the 18th of September that same year, it was. Everything I had hoped for had come true. However, it was false hope, as on getting back home, my injuries were so bad I couldn't make it upstairs, so for a whole year, the family living room had to serve as my bedroom, bathroom, and toilet, living between bed, wheelchair, and the dreaded commode. And I don't mind sharing with you, sharing that space with my wife Claire and then 15-year-old daughter Tash wasn't just a test of my own resilience. And I think there were things said and done by all 3 of us during that time, which we have since chosen to forgive each other for. During that time, Tash was a massive inspiration to me, as so many 15-year-olds, whilst they were going through their exams, as Tash was, would have thought, what is the importance of exams in the grand scheme of things when we don't know whether my dad's going to live or not because of what those 3 people did to him? However, Tash was able to forgive what had been done to her dad and applied herself to her studies in the hope that she could add her exam results to the ever-growing long list of things I am so proud of her for. And I'm able to share with you, as one proud dad, that Tash left school with 11 GCSEs at grade B and above, as they were graded back then, roughly treble the national average for that year, which gives you a great example of how powerful forgiving can be. When I stand in front of classrooms and share this story, with a theme of resilience being the usual theme that I have running through it, I encourage the young people to forgive the wrongs of others towards them and to forgive themselves their own mistakes. In fact, I encourage them to make mistakes, often sharing that the past is a place of reference rather than a place of residence. It was in front of one such classroom that I was sharing my own story, and there was a young man there who I'll call Declan for safeguarding purposes. It wasn't his name. Declan had been labelled a problem student. In fact, you'd see him on the verge of permanent exclusion. I shared my story with that class, and one of the class asked me, "Sir, if you came across those three people again, would you punch them in the face?" I very quickly replied that I wouldn't, as violence was never the answer, but then surprised them by sharing with them that I'd forgiven them so much that now my reaction would be to shake them by the hand and thank them for the positive difference they had made to my life. Declan, to everyone's amazement, went on to share that because I'd come to their class from a place of vulnerability and shared forgiveness, he went on to share that until he was adopted at 18 months of age, he'd been so badly physically abused, he was left with permanent brain damage. And then in an area of the UK where sadly there's still a strong belief that boys don't cry, Declan grabbed a box of tissues from his teacher's desk and shed the 8.5 years worth of tears pent up inside him. Because in that moment, at just 10 years of age, he had realised that by forgiving his birth parents and what they had done to him, by choosing to no longer be defined by that particular moment and forgiving them, he'd taken such a weight off his shoulders, he was able from that point to restart his own life by forgiving those who had done wrong to him. Now, I was only able to work with Declan for the remainder of that school year before he moved up to his next school, and I wasn't able to track him due to privacy and safeguarding laws. But I can tell you, during that year of working with Declan, he went through the transformation from being a problem student to being an almost perfect student, and that was purely down to forgiveness. Back to you, Philip.
Roger, sure. Yeah, if anyone didn't get emotional or even start getting emotional from the moment Rick opens his mouth, I'd be very surprised. Your journey, every time you tell it, it still shocks me, but the ability to forgive, I think it's powerful. It's actually a powerful, positive weapon. And, you know, the fact of what you've had to deal with and how do we go about this? And I love the fact that you said past is a place of reference rather than a residence. We don't need to dwell there. We need to move forward in life. As I said earlier, don't let things hold you back. You know, we've got such an amazing opportunity to move forward. And I think when we look behind us, you'll end up walking into a brick wall. You can't do that. 100%, you know, Roger, you shared something that you'd go up and shake those individuals' hands. Wow. I think anybody listening to what you're sharing there is going, really? And then you stop and pause. And you look where you are in your life right now. And you look at all the positives. You look at all the transformation that has taken place. And yeah, I just leave it there. I really would. But also being vulnerable, showing vulnerability. And you've turned this into helping so many people out there. There are so many people who just don't understand the power of being able to learn to forgive in its capacity. And this leads me on to our wonderful next amazing speaker, Lois, who I've had the privilege again of connecting with and listening to. Yeah, this is an incredible story and journey. I don't know what Lois is going to speak to us about, but she's definitely an amazing person in every sense of the word. But this is one person that has learned to forgive right across the board. So much so that she goes out there and helps so many people in shifting their mindsets and helping them to grow and helping them to move forward with their lives. And one of Lois's signatures is that incredible smile. So over to you, Lois. I look forward to hearing, as all of us do, what you have to share with us. Your 8 minutes start now.
Hi, thank you, Philip. Well, I call myself Lois, your friend for forgiveness. And thank you, Seshni, for bringing up the Ho'oponopono. I actually studied with Dr. What is his name? Dr. Hugh, Dr. Hugh Len and Joe Vitale. I actually studied Ho'oponopono. It is such a powerful Hawaiian prayer. Forgiveness goes hand in hand with starting over. And I've started over. I've reinvented myself 17 times. And each time when you start a new life, it requires letting go of something in the past, and it requires that forgiveness. And it's so important that we understand that you make a choice, you make a decision. And when you make that decision, you're making it based on the best knowledge you have at that time. And if you can understand that about yourself and about the perpetrator, it makes it so much easier to forgive. And yes, Rick, forgiveness is part of life. Joanne, it helps you connect with life. And Roger, you can forgive the unforgivable and move on to greatness. So I've forgiven so many times. I had to forgive my father when he wouldn't support me to go to university. It was really a difficult thing for me at the time, and I was quite resentful. But I forgave him and ended up finding a really great career regardless. I had to forgive my husband for leaving me. That was pretty tough. But at the same time, I had to forgive myself for my part in the breakdown in the marriage. I had to forgive the man who raped me. That was a big one. He attacked me, he raped me, he tied me up, and he left me for dead. And 14 years later, I went to the prison, and I compassionately and completely forgave him. And I returned the responsibility to him, and I took back my power. And that is really the power of forgiveness, because you walk away completely free from all of those emotions, from the turmoil, from the sadness, from the anger, from the fear. You literally fly free from those things. I reinvented myself so many times. I reinvented myself when I left South Africa and I became an expat. And I had to forgive my new country because they wouldn't renew my visa when I turned 64 years old. They said, no, we don't want old people here. And I had to forgive the authorities for not wanting me to stay in their really, really beautiful country. And forgiveness becomes part of your life. It becomes habit. I had to forgive myself for very poor planning. I was living a very good life in the Middle East. I was earning good money. I was traveling the world. I was really, really having a great time. I never saved for my future. I had to forgive myself for not looking after my well-being in my older age. And so forgiveness actually does become part of your life. You've got to learn to forgive yourself. You've got to learn. It's so important. I hated that rapist. I hated him with such a passion. What was it doing? It was giving me anxiety. I was stressed. I had high blood pressure. It wasn't hurting him at all my hatred and anger. It was only hurting me. So by forgiving, you do set yourself free from that. I sold all my goods. I thought I was going to become a nomad and travel the world light as anything. And now I've landed back in South Africa and I've sold everything. I have nothing anymore. So I'm living as a nomad in my own country. And I want to just mention, Philip was talking about gratitude. You know, everybody knows now you should keep a journal with 3 things you're grateful for every day. I say keep a forgiveness journal every day. 3 things that you can forgive yourself for. I forgive myself for shouting at the dog when he ate my slipper. I can forgive myself for pushing the snooze button and not getting up in time this morning. I can forgive my friend for forgetting to phone me on my birthday. Every day we can find 3 little things that we can forgive ourselves for, and 3 things that we can forgive others for. So we can forgive the dog for eating your slipper. You can forgive, it just becomes so easy to forgive when you start practicing forgiveness. Those little things that you say, "Oh, it's not important, why forgive? Let it go, get over it, it's so small." But by practicing it every day, I forgive you, thank you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you. If you just practice that every day, it actually becomes part of who you are. And that's why I say I'm a friend of I'm your friend for forgiveness, because it's who I am. I automatically now forgive. I hold no grudges. It's important that you process it. Whatever happened to you, it's important that you feel that anger or that disappointment or that fear, whatever it is that you feel, that you experience. You need to feel it. But when you can forgive, you get over that emotion and you find a new emotion, a positive emotion, and you move from being a victim of that situation to being a survivor. And you use resilience to become a survivor. You then build your grit and you become a thriver. And then you forgive and you set yourself free. And as I said, I flew out of that prison. When I left that prison after forgiving the rapist, he was given a 25-year sentence, and I sat facing him in that prison after 14 years, and I unconditionally forgave him. I flew out of that prison, completely free of him, never given him a thought since other than talking about it like this, but never worrying about it. I'm not triggered anymore. And I had to forgive friends, for example. I became an activist after I was attacked. I wanted to change the world. And all my friends were saying, "We're so proud of you. You're so bold. You're so strong. You're so bold. You're so strong." Look at me. I'm so bold and I'm so strong. And what happened was I landed up 2 years later with psychosomatic back problems. I couldn't get out of bed. I was bedridden for 6 months. And it was all up here. There was nothing wrong because I hadn't faced my fears and my angers and my hatred. And so I put on this bold front, I put on this mask that I needed to take off. And by lying bedridden, I could actually be weak and pathetic. So I had to also forgive my friends. They were saying what they thought was the right thing, but in fact it wasn't the right thing. So I had to forgive them even for those things that they weren't aware that they were doing wrong. So we each are accountable for our own choices and our own actions, and you can become empowered when you do forgive yourself and when you forgive those around you. Thank you very much. I'm Lois, your friend for forgiveness.
Lois, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't find that powerful, then you're in the wrong place, because a journal that we can write in and we can put down people we should be forgiving. That's huge. That is huge. That is like weight just lifting and giving you that ability to float. And there it is, from the words of Lois. It allowed her to elevate herself again, to take herself back into living life in the way she wanted to face the future, not with the baggage, not with anything hanging around her and pulling her back and pulling her down. You know, I think what I loved about that is it's learning to start over. It's a part of life. So we do need to park and move forward. Those seriously, big respect. And we love what you do on all levels. And I have to say, you don't look anywhere near your age, and that's positive. So you're doing something right in every sense of the word. This leads me into our next incredible speaker, Kavita Patil. Kavita started off in life through buildings, creating foundations in life, and then buildings. I said buildings, masters in construction management, and as you can read on the screen, following her passion. But there's something very, very powerful about what Kavita does in her world. And there's something that I love. I'm a big advocate of women. Obviously, men and women belong side by side in this world. We all have a purpose. We all have our sort of calling in life. But there's something about what's been happening over the last, I think this week we're celebrating Women's Day, and something caught my eye the other day, and I brought it up just to read to everybody, is Women's Day should not be an annual occurrence. We are not powerful, nurturing, amazing, multitasking leaders once a year. We do this every single day. So let's celebrate Happy Women's Year to all the most incredible women out there who do the most incredible, amazing things. And there's that beautiful expression or saying out there, if we teach a woman something, she's going to educate a village. And that leaves me with no further ado but to hand over to Kavita to take your 8 minutes and take the stage. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Philip. Namaste to all of you. Hello, everybody. I'm thankful for this opportunity to be a speaker on a platform propagating the basis of existence, that is hope, inspiration, and transformation. Having experienced all that I will be talking about and breaking free from the stranglehold I was in by keeping myself hopeful, inspired, motivated, transforming myself, and forgiving people, I hope to touch a chord within women and inspire them to keep the faith in themselves, stay motivated, and their abilities flare. I ask you to forgive me if I become a bit dramatic as I speak, because this is a topic dear to my heart. I start my 8 minutes now. There comes a time when we have to heed a certain call, and the call comes from within. It's been trying to get our attention, but we choose to ignore it, stating other reasons as more important and necessary. Finally, when the going gets too tough, the heart, the mind, and the body, together in unison, listen to that call and realize that all along the power was within us and we search for it in the masses. Hope rises when despair peaks its depth, because that is when we understand that the only way out is by understanding our abilities, having faith in ourselves, staying inspired by the dream that had once filled us with joy, and transforming ourselves with the power we can wield on our mind. Most women tend to put their dreams, their careers, their passion on the back burner to become the backbone of their family, all the while nurturing a hope that one day, when all is settled, she can fulfill her dream, what she had intended to. But by the time that time comes, she has become so listless, spent, and tired that the dream no longer exists. And even if it does, seems to have no power to pull her to it. She has got so involved in being there for her family, adapting to their routine, lifestyle, making them the center of her universe, and being happy with their progress, achievements, and growth, that her priorities change, and somewhere along the way, her her advancement in certain areas remain unfurled. She has prioritized other people, other matters to such an extent that she didn't realize when and how her dreams got sucked into a whirlpool of nothingness. That is where hope comes in. And if there is even a small ember still glowing within her mind, it can be ignited to flare into glorious fulfillment of her successes. Hope of finally achieving what she had set her mind to. Be it a college degree, a job, a post, a position, a relationship status, or an achievement that she had held dear to her heart. Inspiration to stay afloat and see the wondrous things the world has yet to offer to her. Inspiration to transform from what she was in the past to what she can be in the future. A wonder. that needs for her to take a decision, to stake claim to what is rightfully hers. She needs to be resilient, to face all odds and forge ahead. It won't be an easy journey, but she has to be inspired by her own faith in her own future and hold on to it. She has to be determined to take a step, the first step, garner courage, strength, and keep moving on. Support will come when she stays committed to her faith in herself. We hear stories of so many women losing so much, breaking into so many pieces, yet putting themselves together and scaling heights unimaginable before, even to herself. What must have been the power that pushed her to reach that peak? However sympathetic, encouraging, or supportive be her well wishers, nothing can get done unless and until that urge to do something fires her from within. Most of the time, all it takes is a trigger. It could be a word, a statement, an incident, a state of existence gone or going stagnant for that spark to be ignited. That is when it needs to be winnowed. Action should be taken, steps should be put in place, and things should be got done. But then there looms the fear of self of self-victimization, of self-pity, of lack of confidence, not to mention the scorn, the jeering, the rejection of societal forces. They need to be fought tooth, nail, and dagger. It's not generally the external forces that defeat a woman as much as the internal negative self-talk that she subjects herself to. That is when she should reach out. Reach out to people, to organizations that instill hope, cheer, bolster her confidence, her herself, her true self, her confidence, and her laughter. Having been accustomed to staying in the comfort zone, it is difficult for her to overcome odds that will be presented to her every step she takes. But take those steps she must, because there is victory beyond that. She should aim for something, she should have a goal, and she should achieve it. It's not the accolades or the fame that will make her triumph, but the satisfaction of having overcome and won. Revenge is sweet, but victory is sweeter, especially if she has won over her inhibitions, bindings, and blockages. Every woman deserves to live her life the way she wants to, free from all pressures, dogmas, and restrictions. She has her shortcomings and imperfections, but she's an individual, a beautiful creation of God, and she deserves to be loved, respected, and accepted just the way she is. Don't give her sympathy. If you can, give her equality wherever she deserves and possible. Give her the credit she's justified to, the empathy that she craves for. She can put a sun in your sky, set her free, see her soar, revel in her flight, and feel her happiness in your heart. Be happy for her when she scales the pinnacle of success. She is a creator, can be a destroyer. Let her strength heal the world. She can bend, yet tower so tall. Let her compassion root the world. There is no competition between her and a man. To each their stories and their glories, because finally they are both two sides of a single coin. Her place is not at the heart. Her place is in your heart. So hey, you women, pick yourself up. Don't wait for someone else's helping hand. Pull yourself together, push yourself to the limit and beyond. You will see a rainbow waiting for you, vibrant in all its glory. And if you cannot see one, be one. You have so many colors within you. Pick one, dazzle the world with its hue. Come on, women, glow, grow, go. And forgive others and yourself too, because it will set you free. And you need to be free to achieve your goals, your happiness, your achievements, your aspirations. Stay the wow that you are. Thank you, Philip.
Kavita, thank you so much for those incredible sort of words of guidance and steering to, I think, give a lot of women out there the push and the shove that they really need. Through our organization, both Vicky and I get to work with people from all over the world, but it tends to be the women who come through and shine because of their incredible resilience, their incredible sort of ability to, I suppose, understand the power of what they've taken on board through their life to then go out there and help so many people. And I love that term you use, the word trickle, a sign, a message that could just shift them, that could just give them that little push and that little nudge. And I think freedom will allow you to grow. Be free, give yourself that opportunity to forgive yourself, put the past behind you so that we can move forward. What a lovely, incredible message. I'm going to move over now to a young lady by the name of Isabela Tatu. And Isabela comes from a fascinating background in commodities trading and shipping. When I say fascinating, she's jumped out of the norm and into a new thriving industry, into blockchain technology, but incorporating renewables and things that are shifting and changing this world at a very fast, rapid pace. And I don't know about any of you, but I think we all need to keep up to speed with the way the world is going. It's an area and an avenue that I'm exploring. And I know Vicky is very much focused on exploring this world of blockchain and how we can sort of, I suppose, move forward as this world changes so in such a rapid sense. And as I'm sure you can see, Isabela now heads up Ladyship at Roundtable. So I'm going to hand over now to Isabela, and I thank you very much for connecting and giving us your time on this Hit Talks. Thank you, Isabela.
Hello, Vicky, and hello, everyone. It's so nice to be here again. This is my second time I'm taking part, and as always, it is a wonderful, wonderful experience. So the first time I participated was back in end of the last year when I was talking about the project and the women in shipping, the energy, renewable energy. And today I was thinking to follow up with some developments that has happened on the projects that I am working together with a team of scientists. So it is all about the community and the renewable energy. As you may know, recently there was a publication issued by the UN showing how difficult the whole humanity, the earth, it's actually, I believe there was a word which was there called red alert. If we continue the way we continue, the planet will be totally destroyed. So I have been passionate about the renewable energy for a few years. I have had the privilege to have a very good friend who is the scientist and who has been working on these projects all of his life. His life is dedicated to renewable energy, to find ways that can help communities and the planet. So our project has a bit of a particular aspect. We are trying to create an alternative renewable energy that is used in communities and that can be used in any heavy transport, like from the shipping side for the ships, for the trucks, for the trains, and eventually for the planes, but also to be used in the communities, because in the communities in the sense of people, town, areas that they get together and they can create this renewable energy, which is mainly comes into electricity, and it's used as a community. So, of course, just to make some notes about the requirement for community power. This is what we are working. So it's very evident and very powerful. And usually the drivers for such community power are driven by the energy cost, security, environmental, and local value. This is why to create a renewable and sustainable electricity production, it is vital for the project. So the way we are looking at in the future, the way we see the future is by creating a collaborative manufacturing enterprise, community-based, which will learn how to produce the technology, install and function. The main advantage of what we're working on, that we're working basis creating electricity or renewable energy from waste, which is waste can be anything from organic waste like food waste or plastic. And of course, the process for the two systems are very different. One project basis on organic waste is including a system basis on anaerobic digestive, or for the second one is a gasification of the biogas. So each one is very different. And recently, there's been another breakthrough in the science community. So sorry. But that is the way we see the world evolving from so sorry from creating a platform for communities where we are in charge of the waste we're producing and creating the energy and the electricity that in combination with solar or with other renewable energy, we can have a sustainable homes or industry around us. And I will be sharing more information as I go, but I hope that I have inspired you all to look at ways that you can contribute to looking after our planet. Thank you for your attention and enjoy the rest of the speakers. Thank you.
Isabela, thank you so much for sharing. That's very diverse. We've gone away from obviously where we were with forgiveness, and it's nice to have that fresh change. And I do 100% advocate that we all have a duty in this world. We think about ourselves, and we often do take charge of our lives, and it's me, me, me. And this goes back to what I shared earlier, is about what can I do for you when it comes to other people. What can we do to help this world? And it's something, again, that Rick alluded to heavily, is he came back from on death's bed and saying, how can I make a difference? What can I do? And there's such an amazing phrase out there that says, if we all do a random act of kindness or a random act of goodness on a daily basis, we may just set the world in the right direction. And I truly advocate that. I truly believe that. So we all have a duty. And you say, well, what difference am I going to make as an individual? Well, together we can all make a difference. All of us, every single day we can make a difference. So thank you, Isabela, for sharing that with us and giving us an update. I'm going to move on now to the one and only Bishop Mel. This is a powerhouse in the room here. This is someone with huge energy and passion, a philanthropist, and someone who, whenever she speaks, has got a story to tell, and she's also got great guidance and wisdom. And without further ado, Bishop Mel, I'm going to hand over to you. You've got your 8 minutes, set your timer, ready to rock and roll, and it's your time now.
Wow, 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 wow. I'm super excited to be back again on Hit Talks. Oh my God. And I just want to give a shout out to Vicky, the boss lady. Vicky Thomas, I love you so much. Philip, it's been so amazing. I love you, love you, love you so much from the bottom of my heart. And every speaker was spoken before me. I just want to say, big up, big up, big up, big up, big up. We're going. We say, I always like to say 2020, let's go. We're going. 2021, let's go. We're going. We're going. We're going. We're going. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We're going somewhere. Regardless of whatever is happening, we are going. I am super excited because I am back on Here Talks, and I share a strong passion from the deepest part of my heart when it comes to Vicky Thomas. And I've always said, when I met Vicky Thomas, I said, when I grow up, I want to be like Vicky Thomas. I saw it on the stage with the renowned celebrities. And I was like, wow, you know, I think people we've not seen enough in Vicky Thomas. We've not tapped enough from her, and I think I can literally say I can't be a victim of not tapping enough from Vicky Thomas. I need to tap more from Vicky Thomas. I'm super excited with this topic when it comes to forgiveness. And sorry, my phone is just trying to mess about, which I'll get bollocks from Vicky Thomas after. I'll get some bollocking from Vicky Thomas after. Anyway, I love the speaker who spoke, Isabela. I love you so much from the bottom of my heart. I share passion of energy. I know, obviously, we're talking about energy. Oh my gosh, I share a strong passion when it comes to make sure that the planet is great again. I share a strong passion when it comes to energy, and when it comes to renewable energy, because I'm a woman who walk the talk. And why I'm saying this is because I walk the talk, because I had to forgive people who were in my heart. There was anger, there was hostility, there was aggression in me due to certain individuals who I had exuberated in my heart. But because I had to forgive them, because the Bible says, the book I believe in, which is the Bible, it says in Matthew 6:15, but if you refuse to give others, my God, allow me to repeat this. But if you refuse to give others, this is in Matthew 6, verse 15. When you go in the Bible, you see the narrative of that scripture. And I believe if you are a Christian, you should be moving in that narrative. It says, if you refuse to forgive others, oh my God, your Father will not forgive your sins. And how many times do we wrong? We wrong each other. We wrong even the Mother Earth herself. And I like Isabela, who was talking about how the renewable energy is coming to place, and I love every speaker we've spoken. Oh my goodness me, tonight I feel so trembling when it comes to this topic, because I had to fight. Because when it comes to forgiveness, you have to fight from the heart. Because when you have anger, when you have aggression, when you have, you know, that one that you're saying, I'm holding on to someone, what happens in the neuroscience is there's oxytocin energy. They go high in the brain, and when they go high in the brain, it touches the medulla oblongata. When they touch the medulla oblongata, then you are not able to function, because the reciprocal sites are blocked. And when the reciprocal sites are blocked, there is no energy that can be released in your body. I'll repeat it again. I said, when you are holding on to anger, to aggression, to pain in you, and you're saying, I'm never when I forgive this one, there is, the oxytocin level, energy level, they go high, and then they'll block the reciprocytes in the medulla oblongata. And when they do that, you are unable to function. And then you are like, no, I'm not. It is only when you say you fight, not to say you fight, you will fight to say, I'm forgiving this person. I remember the time when I don't know if I can call him my ex-husband or my husband. I might be going single to those who are watching. You never know. You might be looking towards dating this beautiful woman with 5 children, though the firstborn is 28 years old. I look young, but it's the kookaburra. I'm just kidding. I'm not yet ready for dating. I'm just kidding you. So what happens is you feel so much blockage in your life. But when you then come to that narrative where you decide to say, I'm forgiving somebody, my ex-husband, for now, I'll call him that way, left me with 5 children, no financial income, went to Africa for more than 4 years. And there I was stuck with these 5 children. I lost my house, lost my property, lost everything that I had. I tried to get to Vicky Thomas. That's actually the period when I met Vicky Thomas. It's so amazing. And then guess what? I saw myself losing everything. When you're writing, on those gadgets and you're saying, pick me, I'm lonely, I work, because you don't know where to put them. And when you go to Salvation Army and you're saying, I'm giving you these 4 bags of clothes, they are looking at you and they open them and they're seeing these nice ball gowns. You see, you can see how I love to dress nice, and imagine you're just giving away these clothes. I think you've stolen them, and being a Black woman, it's even worse. But they did not know that I'm at that point where I don't know where to put these things, living in a little minivan with 5 kids, and then staying in the motorway for 6 days here in the United Kingdom. Oh my God. And you're sleeping in there and you're thinking, where is this man who said, I love you, babe. I love you, my girl. I love you, my darling. I love you. That was a bomb. You will have this anger. You have this aggression. You have this pain in you. You will think of those years and you're thinking, where is this man in Africa? You can't come back to your family. And you're with these kids. But this verse hit my heart when it says, but if you refuse to forgive others, your Father will not forgive you. At what point do you judge the quantum physics? At what point do you judge the science that is happening in the body? Because the events that happens in the body is beyond what we see. It is happening in the body, but right there in the spiritual realm, it's more deeper. This is why you find people go into depression. And I want to thank the people who surround us, who are always with us and who stand by us, because they are the ones who see and will be able to witness the restoration that takes place when things happen. You are staying 6 days in the motorway with 5 children. You don't know what to do with them. And I'm not a bread person. I'm not a confectionery person. I like meat. I was born in the bush. I like to barbecue. I like to barbecue meat. I'm a lioness. I like to eat meat. But then I don't have money to buy meat for me to eat. The only money I have is for me to buy bread for my kids to eat, because that's the only thing that we can have. At what point do you sit down and you say, oh, I'm forgiving this person? When I heard all the stories that were taking place in this platform tonight, my heart was melting. Someone is going to a 3rd brain surgery. Get in touch with me. We'll pray. We'll make sure that maybe things will go change round. We'll have a good time, pray, you know. And then when I had somebody saying I was abused, at what point do you say, I've forgiven? But there is that narrative and that point where you need to step in and say, for me to move on, I have to forgive. I have to let out and say, this is my journey. The moment when 2018 came into play and I buried my dad, that's a story for another day. I came back and I looked at my children. I saw how beautiful they are. I looked in the mirror and I saw how pretty I am. I said, I'm not going to allow anything to come here and stay in my heart. I have to let go. We must learn to let go. When we learn to let go, then things come to manifestation. Today, we are talking about, I am a woman who is standing in the United Nations. I am a woman who is standing, having a mind who has got a fuel license. That's why I loved Isabela when she was talking about renewable energy. That's the way that's my walk. That's where I'm walking into. And when I saw myself sitting in the governmental parastatals, and when I see myself even sitting in the likes of Vicky Thomas, I said to myself, listen, it is only when you let go, you say no. If I don't let go, the quantum physics is not going to allow me. My medulla oblongata is allowing the oxytocin energy that is coming from my anger, my aggression, my pain, to make sure it takes over my body. Therefore, I have to forgive and let go for your sake. And I like the speaker who said, for that person's sake as well, because it's not you who deal with that person, it's God who deals with that person. And then you see yourself moving forward and just excelling. And I'm so happy. And I think some of you, if you've come to my Facebook, you've seen my daughter coming on ITV, showing up her results. My son got married, and I am a happy soul, and I'm looking forward to the future. And I want to say thank you so much, Vicky Thomas, for every opportunity that you give this Hit Talks. It is so amazing. We are pushing, we are moving, we are now entrepreneurs. We are women who are talking and walking the talk, not only just talking. We walk with evidence. We just don't talk. We've got evidence, because evidence beats conversation every single time. So this is what we are doing. Look at us today, and we are going. I just want to say everybody who's tuned in tonight, beautiful, powerful, and big up to Philip. Come on now, let's go. 2021, I'll definitely see at the top. And I always want to leave people with the likes of Zig Ziglar, who says, if you dance like nobody is watching, and if you sing like nobody's listening, I will definitely see at the top. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're catching us from. This is Hit Talks. Love you.
Whoo, baby. How is that energy? Thank you so much, Bishop Mel. You were flying in all different directions, but you brought it back together so brilliantly. And, you know, you definitely faced adversity, you faced your challenges, and you've had to learn to forgive. And again, something I wrote down, you know, let it go so we can free up space to grow and move forward. And that's exactly what you've done with your life. And in that journey, you've taken so many incredible people on that journey with you, and you've helped so many people through your experiences and through your knowledge. And I just would love to sort of share with all of you out there that please go out and let people understand the importance of this platform. The fellow speakers I know promote Hit Talks hands down. But for those of you watching, or those of you who will watch this at some point, please go out there and let people understand that this platform is there for your benefit and for your use. And it could only be one little golden nugget that you get from one of the 8 speakers, but that golden nugget could change your life for the rest of your life. And tonight, or today, or wherever you are in the world, has been diverse for sure. But I think the true sort of message through all of this is, let's learn to forgive and forget and move on. Let's get rid of those shackles. Let's make a difference, make a change in your own life so that you can continue to help as many people that walk across your path. And something I read the other day, I think we all have a duty to educate our children, because they are the future. And what we learned tonight is it is all about educating our children, educating people to learn to forgive, to forget, to preserve this world so that generations to come can absolutely make a difference and continue and change this world for the better. You know, there's one race, and that's the human race. We need to look after one another, and we need to embrace one another, and we need to hold hands and join together to help people through hope, through inspiration, and through transformation. And there's a wonderful Brazilian saying out there, hope is the last thing to die. So let's all just stay focused on all of this. Finishing off, you know, all of you speakers, gratitude. Thank you so much. I really, again, I know from different parts of the world, the timing is not always ideal. So, you know, from the Asian neck of the world, that part of the world, being up very late to join us. And, you know, I know Rick, the day is just sort of semi-starting. The next HIT Talks is going to take place on the 25th of August in this year, 2021. Bishop Mel, you almost got me to jump into 2022 there. And please, if there are any speakers out there that you know of that would love to share their journey, share their story, and help other people, then please introduce them to the platform. It would be phenomenal to get and encourage people to step out of their comfort zone and come and join us here on this platform. And again, if any of you out there want to host your own special edition, we would welcome you with open arms. We really and truly will. So on that note, I'm going to allow Vicky to close out today's HIT Talks. And we are so excited and looking forward to seeing you on the 25th of August. May you have a blessed weekend that's coming. It's on everyone's doorstep right now, and the week ahead. And you know, kids, take time for yourself. Learn to be gentle with yourself and learn to forgive. I leave you with that, and thank you.
Hey, thank you so much, Philip. Honestly, you are just such a natural host of HIT Talks, and I'm so blessed and so glad to actually have you here being part of it. What an absolutely amazing lineup. And I'm sure, just like me, that you have taken something from every single message that has been shared with you tonight. So please, please, please keep following us here at HIT Talks. We literally are changing lives and sharing these messages from our heart. Our next episode is on the 25th of August. So please join us on the 25th of August for another lineup of great, amazing speakers. And if you would like to be a speaker, please reach out to us at the HIT Talks team. If you would also like to perhaps host your own special edition where you can be Philip, where you can find your 8 speakers and where you'd be able to then share your speakers to your platform and be able to host in between. It's an absolutely perfect way to showcase yourself, showcase your people, and actually spread hope, inspiration, and transformation more into the world. So I am so blessed that you're watching this. Again, sending so much love for everyone watching the live and watching the replays. Please be part of our family and subscribe and reach out if there's any way that we can serve you. Sending you so much love.